Welcome to another edition of the Economic Archer podcast. I would remind you, please like and subscribe. Make sure to send this information to your friends and family. Again, I told you the first several are going to build off each other. This one's no exception. This information is very sobering, but at the same time, it's crucial that you ponder it, that you give an honest assessment of where you think we are, and that you try to push fear away so you can see objectively. We're going to look at today the 5 stages of a collapse of a society. And we've been talking about the collapse of our currency, that real money no longer backs our money, and that these dollars only have value if you have confidence in your government to repay its debt. Today we're going to look at the fall of the collapse of a society. What are the stages of it? I'm not saying I feel like our society will totally collapse, because I believe in the goodness ultimately of people, and I feel like when we get into that really bad stages, we're going to rise up and we're going to do the right things. But I think it's very important that we look at these stages and we ask ourselves, where are we heading? I know I saw a poll recently that said 76% of Americans feel like we're heading in the wrong direction. I agree. I think that should be 100% of the people. I don't see any front where we're heading in the right direction. But let's look at this together. Stage 1 of the fall of a society. Financial collapse. Faith in business as usual is lost. The future is no longer assumed to resemble the past in any way that allows risk to be assessed and financial assets to be guaranteed. Financial institutions become insolvent. Are we not hearing that? What happened in 2008? Lehman Brothers went under. Other banks were on the edge of going under, and they came to us for $787 billion. We're there again. Savings are wiped out. Remember me talking about bail-ins? The fact that if the banks get in trouble, they can just take your savings, and it's legal now? Hope you're listening. And access to capital is lost. As soon as you can't predict, as soon as you don't think that the future will be similar to the past, it's impossible to assess risk, whether it's insurance companies that are going to provide insurance for you. And when they can't assess risk, the prices go way up. Same thing with loaning money. If they can't assess what the risk is that they're taking on, they're going to increase the prices. So basically, capital, money, becomes very hard to come by. Currency in this case, because our money's not backed by anything here. Stage 2. Commercial collapse. Faith that the market shall provide is lost. Money is devalued and or becomes scarce. We just talked about that in stage 1, so those 2 stages are very intertwined. Commodities are hoarded. What did we see when COVID first hit? Fights in stores over toilet paper. But the truth is, we're already seeing things like this all over the place. In other countries, there's major turmoil over scarcity of necessities. But it's happening here too. Going to get worse. Commodities are hoarded. Import and retail chains break down. Are we not seeing that? Are we not seeing supply issues? What about baby formula? It's not that there's not enough. Why were our mothers struggling to get it? And widespread shortages of survival necessities become the norm. Stage 3, political collapse. Faith that the government will take care of you is lost. I'll be honest with you, I've never had that faith or attitude. My attitude's been to be self-sufficient, but I realize other people are in positions where they can't help it. They've had to trust in the government. But in stage 3, political collapse, that faith is lost. As official attempts to navigate widespread loss of access to commercial sources of survival necessities fail to make a difference. The political establishment will lose legitimacy and relevance. As soon as people lose confidence in the government, they're going to begin, and actually, as people start struggling to get necessities and they start looking into the future and say, I don't see anything but things getting worse. What are we hearing right now? Our current president is talking about food shortages. We're already seeing chip shortages, so they're having trouble with the little chips that are put into whether it's the electronic systems in cars, etc., and it's killing our supply for vehicles and the prices are going up. That's why used cars are selling for so much, because there's very few new cars available. Stage 4, social collapse. Faith that your people will take care of you. It's lost. It's lost as social institutions, be they charities or other groups, run out of resources. It's not here yet, folks, but as soon as the money dries up, as soon as nobody will lend the U.S. money anymore. By the way, did you know that every dollar that our government spends, nearly half of it is borrowed money? Nearly half of it is borrowed money. As soon as China and other countries decide, I don't think they're going to repay their debts, they cut off the spigot with all these, loaning us money or buying our bonds or whatever, this will be a reality. Stage 5, and I pray we never get there, is when you see cultural collapse. Faith in the goodness of humanity is lost. People lose their capacity for kindness, generosity, consideration, affection, honesty, hospitality, compassion, charity. Families disband and compete as individuals for scarce resources. Now, I've already told you, I do have faith that as these things start to happen, the American people, the goodness in the American people, we're going to return to what made us great in the first place. If you remember, and for me it was back when I was in about 3rd grade, I remember I had a teacher and she was a very, very strong Christian lady. And she was upset one day and she's talking to us as a class and she said, we truly are moving away from a we society to a me society. And what she was saying is, when she was a kid, it was if your neighbor had something happen to their house, the people around them grouped together to help their neighbor. And she said, we're moving into a me society where people care mainly about themselves. They'll tell their neighbor they feel sorry for them, but they're not helping them. I believe we're going to return, when we hit bottom, we're going to return to a society that's characterized as a we society. We have to. And I believe there's forces that do everything they can to separate us. And I believe that people are going to see how wrong that is and how much we need each other. And when you see things like food scarcity, etc., you're going to realize how much you depend on your neighbors. I know where my wife Kathy and I live here, we have some people that have ponds which have fish in them that can help other people that need fish if the stores all of a sudden didn't have them. Some of us garden, like we're gardening, and other people in the neighborhood are gardening where we could help each other. Some people are very good at fixing things and they've offered their assistance if we got to that point. We're going to have to get back to that mindset when we hit bottom. And I hate to be the bearer of this news, but we're going to hit bottom. We are headed for financial collapse. We're going to see commercial collapse. We're seeing political collapse right now. When you have 76% of your people say they believe we're heading in the wrong direction, how much confidence do they have in their leadership? They don't have much. And I don't see how you can have much confidence right now. The things they say, they don't do. I just watched the president the other day make the comment that we're saving more money than we've ever saved, which is a lie. Actually, if you look at consumer debt, the amount of money we have on our credit cards, it's rising exponentially. I also read an article the other day that says 47% of the population, that's nearly 1 out of every 2 people, could not afford it if they had an unexpected $1,000 expense. Folks, that means we are right on the edge of not only financial collapse, but also political collapse, because the people that are telling us everything's fine are not telling us the truth. Just like they said inflation is transitory. Oh, it's going to go away. Now they're not saying that. They're saying it's going to persist. And the reality is, the only way that these people that are our leaders, who believe the answer to everything is just print more money. Well, when you print money, when you print more and more and more of these, if you and I did that and said, God, my family doesn't have enough money, I'm just going to go get a printing press and I'm going to make some money. That's called counterfeiting. With the government, it's called debasing the currency. It makes these worth less and eventually worthless as soon as other countries say, I'm not accepting that paper because I don't believe you'll pay your debt. I've been pointing you to gold and silver. Gold and silver have had value for 5,000 years plus. Both silver and gold. They've never been worth zero. There have been 4,000 fiat currencies, which is, if you've been listening, it's a currency that's backed by nothing but faith and confidence in your government to pay its debts. Folks, not only do we not have confidence in our government to pay its debts, we're $30 trillion in debt. It's growing exponentially. We're running $1 trillion plus deficits every year. But when you take into account Social Security, which is a promise for us to take care of our seniors who paid into the system, Medicare, Medicaid, veterans benefits, we owe $100 trillion. We only take in $3.2 trillion a year. Our situation is dire. It's time we wake up. Protect your family, protect your buying power. Talk to your neighbors, share this video with them. Help them to see they better take care of their buying power so that they're not in a position to depend on a government that's not going to be able to provide for them. Thank you for tuning in today. Again, I would say, please like and subscribe. Send this information to your friends and family. Help give them the information they need to protect themselves. Thank you. Thanks for listening.